All right, everyone. So Friday Night SmackDown is over. This was a great one. They're killing it. So we're gonna just go over some of the big moments and give our thoughts, react to it. Not everything, but the big moments. Okay. So at the start, once again, the crowd goes wild for Jey Uso. And there's this new thing now where after his music ends, the crowd chants one more time, and then he directs for it to be played again. It happens, and the crowd continues to go nuts. I don't want to hear about YouTube dislikes and the Royal Rumble win. I don't want to hear about tweets or anything like that. Jey Uso is as over as Jey Uso could be. Okay, this is a guy who is just over with the audience, and you could agree or disagree with him winning the Rumble, but fans love him. This reminds me of, you talk about kind of the pops that a lot of stars throughout the years have gotten. This is up there with huge pops every time he comes out, and that's why he's been opening the show. Cody Rhodes follows and comes out after that. And, they start to set the stage for what is, kind of a conflict between Cody and Jay. And I don't think at the end of the day, this is going to be the rivalry that is, at WrestleMania. But it's interesting because they're trying to just, make it a little bit more interesting. They're trying to cast doubt on, okay, you have two friends and what happens if they did fight at WrestleMania. So I like that. Then Jacob Fatu comes out and he says some interesting things. The first thing is he tells Cody, you took that title from our family. We want that title back. That's kind of the theme. That's not a direct quote, but the theme of what he was saying. He then goes to Jey Uso and he says, but you're not the guy that's going to be taking that title. And so what we see is there's still this disconnect, right, between the two sides of the bloodline. So Jacob Fatu and I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was fantastic overall. Then of course they all start fighting, and that was wonderful. And we can move on. All right. So Bianca Belair, she ends up winning, so she is now in the elimination chamber for the women's side. Why I think this is a pretty big deal is because with Jade Cargill's return, with it up in the air, the question we have to ask yourself is, what is WWE going to do next? And so that's why I thought this was interesting, because if she's in the elimination chamber, she still has the tag team belts, she's going to be attempting to go for a championship, but we still have to figure out how exactly Jade Cargill is going to play into all this, and does it have anything to do with the Elimination Chamber? Could this be something where Bianca is going to be at WrestleMania again, and so Jade comes back and she gives half of the tag team to her, and Naomi and Jade are the tag team going forward? There are so many things they could do. That's why I thought this was big enough to talk about. Then we get the return of Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre, we know he was not happy after the Royal Rumble. He continues to be not happy about what's going on in WWE, according to reports, and he kind of mentioned it a little bit. He calls out Cody. He talks, he almost hints at his meltdown. And then, of course, you have Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, and Jimmy Uso all in a qualifier match. Jimmy Uso had a fantastic promo, I thought, and it was just awesome, and it built up for the big match, and it ended up with Drew McIntyre winning. So he is now going to be in the elimination chamber on the men's side, and we'll see what they do with that. A new match was then announced. So next week, Damian Priest versus Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman in a qualifier match. So this is interesting to me because we know that Damian Priest, and he even mentioned Drew McIntyre, we know that this is seemingly the feud that they're trying to set up, which is Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. So that would make you think that possibly, just possibly, they're going to have him in there so that Drew and Priest can kind of have something happen, and that would build that feud. So to me, the money would be on him winning that. But with Jacob Fatu in there, there's a chance I could see him winning that thing. And obviously, Braun Strowman, his history with Jacob Fatu and Bronson Reed and everyone. So, Braun Strowman doesn't have any love lost now for the bloodline. And so just keep that in mind. That's going to be next week. That's a big match. Kevin Owens, he put it out on Twitter previous to Raw, but he basically has a big monologue about Sami Zayn. And this character they made with Kevin Owens, it just seems like it's so ruthless. It seems like it's terrible. And it's fantastic how they're telling this story. I know I talk about it all the time. I absolutely love this storyline. They have turned Kevin Owens into must-see TV every time he's on. I mean, this is the best version I've seen of him in quite some time. And you could feel like the kind of craziness that, and it's like it started where, you can go back and watch some of our original videos of this heel turn. When it first started, we said, you know what, you can kind of see where Kevin Owens is coming from, right? With a little bit of what he was upset about. But as he's gotten worse and worse, and as he's gotten crazier and crazier, you can't understand anymore what he's doing. And that's a perfect way of telling this kind of story, right? It's Kevin Owens just having a complete meltdown in front of us, and it's just fantastic. All right, the next big part was a Charlotte Flair promo. This promo, once again, it's funny because, so Charlotte Flair has been gone for a while, and you kind of forget how good of a promo, or a good wrestler, how good some of these people are. Charlotte Flair is just phenomenal. I mean, she returns, and the way she's handling the crowd, right? I mean, just handling the crowd. She's saying, "Do you love me? Do you hate me?" I actually thought she got kind of a babyface reaction. She got a pretty big time babyface reaction, and then she started getting boos a little bit, and then Tiffany came out, right? Tiffany Stratton, and once again, Charlotte Flair, what she's doing so great is that she's just so confident out there. She is the complete opposite of what we're seeing with Jay in a way. Charlotte Flair saying, "I'm choosing who I want," and she just seems so driven and confident about it, and it's perfect for her character. It's just perfect for her character. Regardless of who she fights, it's not going to matter. It's going to be, really a huge boost for them, and I think it's going to be Tiffany, and it's going to do so much for Tiffany's career. Whether she wins or loses, doesn't matter. It's going to be big for her. So then Nia Jax comes out, and this was a big announcement that the crowd didn't seem to love too much, although they're just booing Nia Jax. But it looks like we're going to have Nia Jax versus Tiffany Stratton next week for the championship, which is pretty interesting, right? If I'm hoping I heard that right, but it seemed like that's what they were saying. So that's going to be next week. And the beauty of it is Charlotte Flair said she'd be back to watch that. Now, why is that a big deal? Well, it's a big deal because I think that could be the reason that she picks Tiffany Stratton, right? She keeps talking about, "I need someone to impress me." Maybe this will be the impressive thing. If Tiffany can beat Nia Jax, maybe she decides to, um, come out and just fight her. So then we get to the main event. Now, I don't actually want to talk much about the main event. Cody Rhodes ends up, winning with a pin. So Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso win the tag match. But then the biggest moment of the night and the most shocking, Solo returns. Solo is back, and he attacks Cody at the end of the match. And it's tough to look at anything other than a shocking ending. And this is why I was so pumped to do this video. Really. I mean, this like rejuvenated how great this whole show was, but that was just like the icing on the cake. That was the cherry on top. It was absolutely phenomenal. So Solo's back. We don't know anything about his return. We know nothing. All we know is Solo is back. And what is that going to look like with Jacob Fatu kind of taking more of a leading role now? What is that going to look like? I have no clue. Is there going to be tension between the two? Is that a possible feud that we're going to see moving forward? Maybe that's why Jacob Fatu loses. Solo screws him over or something. I don't know anything about what's going to happen, but what a perfect way to do that return. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.